Welcome to Chubby Infidelity. Before we dive into today's story, please take a second to like and subscribe to our channel. We appreciate your support. Now let's get started. Hi, my name is Eleanor, and I'm 50 years old. Life hasn't turned out the way I imagined it would. My husband, Daniel, passed away 3 years ago. He was a good man, though always distant, more consumed with his work than the world around him. After his passing, I thought I'd spend my days quietly tending my garden, attending small family gatherings, and losing myself in books each evening. That summer, Nathan came to stay. Nathan is Daniel's nephew, 32 years old and full of a restless energy I couldn't quite put my finger on. He had just left behind the chaos of London and was looking for peace in the countryside. At first, he mostly kept to himself, wandering through the woods or reading on the porch. But slowly we started talking, sometimes about the little things, other times about the deeper ones. He had a way of asking questions that made me feel truly seen, something I hadn't felt in years. One afternoon, I was struggling with an old, weathered fence in the garden. Nathan came over and offered to help. He worked quietly but with determination, and I couldn't help but notice how different he was from Daniel. Where Daniel was always lost in his thoughts, Nathan seemed grounded, completely present. As the days passed, I found myself looking forward to our conversations. There was something in his company that brought an unexpected lightness, a sense of possibility I hadn't felt in years. One day, I decided to finally tackle the attic, a project I had avoided for far too long. It was filled with dusty boxes and old memories. As I was sorting through them, Nathan appeared in the doorway. "Need a hand?" he asked, a playful smile tugging at his lips. Before I could answer, he stepped in and picked up an old trunk like it weighed nothing. "Careful," I warned, smiling. "That's probably older than both of us combined." He chuckled, setting it down gently. "Then it's a good thing I'm here." As we sorted through the boxes, we found old photographs of my younger days. Nathan held up a picture of me from my 20s, studying it with a thoughtful expression. "You were beautiful," he said softly. I laughed, brushing it off. "That was a long time ago." "It doesn't matter," he replied, his green eyes meeting mine. There was something in his gaze, something unspoken but undeniable. I looked away, focusing on the boxes in front of me. "These are just reminders of a life that feels so far away now." "It doesn't have to feel that way," he said, stepping closer. His words lingered in the air, and for the first time in years, I felt the possibility of letting someone in. That evening, Nathan went for a walk, leaving me alone with my thoughts. I sat on the porch watching the sun dip below the horizon. When he returned, his cheeks were flushed from the cool evening air. "Are you okay?" he asked, his voice gentle. I nodded, though I wasn't entirely sure of the answer. "You don't have to do this alone," he said softly. "Life doesn't end just because someone you loved is gone." His words stayed with me, and the next day I found myself seeking his company, whether it was fixing something around the house or planting flowers in the garden. One evening, as we sat on the porch watching fireflies dance in the fading light, Nathan turned to me and asked, "Do you ever think about starting over?" I hesitated, not sure what he meant. Starting over? Leaving the past behind? Finding something new? "Someone new," he said, his voice barely above a whisper. His question caught me off guard and I looked away. "I always thought it was too late for that." "It's never too late," he replied, his voice steady. The turning point came on a rainy afternoon when a storm kept us indoors. I was in the living room sorting through old books when Nathan joined me. "Need any help?" he asked warmly. "These can go in the donate pile," I said, handing him a stack of books. Our hands brushed, and the simple touch sent a jolt through me. "You're not alone," he said, his voice steady. His words broke down the walls I'd built around myself. In that moment, something shifted. One crisp autumn morning, Nathan and I walked through the woods, the golden leaves crunching beneath our feet. When we reached a small clearing, he turned to me, his expression serious. "Eleanor, I've been thinking," he began. "I don't know where this leads, but I know I don't want to walk this path without you." His vulnerability left me speechless. Finally, I said, "I don't have all the answers. I don't even know if I'm ready to find them." "That's okay," he said, his voice soft. "We don't have to have all the answers right now." In that moment, surrounded by the beauty of the autumn woods, I realized that life doesn't always give us perfect endings. Sometimes it gives us the chance to start over. That evening, as we sat on the porch under a blanket, watching the sunset paint the sky in hues of orange and pink, I finally let go of the past. Nathan looked at me with warmth in his eyes and said, "I think this is the beginning of something good." For the first time in years, I believed him. As the days turned into weeks, Nathan and I fell into an easy rhythm. Our lives, once so separate, started to intertwine in small but meaningful ways. He would wake early to brew coffee, leaving a steaming cup for me on the kitchen counter. I found myself making his favorite meals, learning the little details about his preferences, how he loved extra butter on his toast and always added a touch of cinnamon to his tea. One afternoon, as the first chill of winter crept into the air, Nathan suggested we take a drive. "Where to?" I asked, pulling on my coat. "It's a surprise," he replied with a mischievous grin. The countryside unfolded before us as we drove, the hills rolling into the distance. Eventually, he pulled onto a small forgotten trail that led to a secluded lake. The water was still, mirroring the gray sky above. The air was crisp with the scent of pine. "I used to come here as a kid," Nathan said, his voice softer now. "Whenever things got too loud back home, I'd escape here. It was my sanctuary." He led me to a bench near the water's edge, and we sat in silence, listening to the gentle ripple of the lake. "Why did you leave London?" I finally asked. He hesitated, his gaze fixed on the horizon. I felt lost, like I was living someone else's life. The long hours, the noise, the emptiness, it all got to me. I needed to find something real, something that mattered. I reached for his hand, surprised by my own boldness. "I think you're finding it now." He turned to me, his green eyes full of emotion. "I think I am." That night, as the fire crackled in the living room, Nathan asked me to dance. I laughed, waving him off. "I haven't danced in years," I said. "Neither have I," he admitted, holding out his hand. "Let's be terrible together." Reluctantly, I stood, and as he pulled me into his arms, the world seemed to fade away. We swayed awkwardly at first, but soon I found myself laughing, the sound echoing through the house like a long-forgotten melody. For the first time in years, I felt truly alive. Winter settled in, blanketing the countryside in snow. Nathan and I spent the days shoveling pathways, stacking firewood, and savoring the quiet beauty of the season. On Christmas morning, I woke to find a small package on the kitchen table. "What's this?" I asked, picking it up. "Open it and see," Nathan said, leaning against the counter with a sheepish smile. Inside was a delicate silver bracelet adorned with tiny charms shaped like leaves. "I saw it in a shop a few weeks ago," he explained. "It reminded me of you, strong, grounded, and connected to everything around you." Tears filled my eyes as I clasped the bracelet around my wrist. "It's beautiful. Thank you." He stepped closer, his voice soft. "You've given me so much more than I could ever repay, Eleanor. You've given me hope." The space between us seemed to vanish, and for the first time I let myself imagine a future, not just for me but for us. By spring, the garden was in full bloom, a riot of color and life. Nathan and I worked side by side, planting new seeds and tending to the growing plants. "Do you ever think about moving back to London?" I asked one afternoon, wiping dirt from my hands. He shook his head. "Not anymore. Everything I need is here." His words warmed me, and I realized just how much my own heart had changed. For years, I had carried the weight of loneliness and loss, convinced that my life was behind me. But now, standing in the sunshine with Nathan by my side, I saw the truth. Life was still unfolding, offering new beginnings at every turn. One evening, as the fireflies began to dance in the twilight, Nathan took my hand and led me to the edge of the garden. "I have something to ask you," he said, his voice steady but filled with emotion. I felt my heart quicken as he reached into his pocket and pulled out a small velvet box. "Eleanor," he began, his green eyes locking onto mine. "I know our story didn't start in the most conventional way, and I know our paths haven't been easy. But you've shown me what it means to truly live, to find beauty in every moment. I don't want to walk this journey without you. Will you marry me?" Tears welled in my eyes as I looked at him, this man who had brought so much light into my life. "Yes, yes," I whispered, my voice trembling with emotion. He slipped the ring onto my finger, and as he pulled me into his arms, I felt the weight of the past finally lift, replaced by the promise of a future filled with love, laughter, and endless possibilities. The garden around us bloomed in the fading light, a symbol of new beginnings. And for the first time in years, I believed in the magic of what was yet to come. As the sun set behind the hills, Nathan and I stood hand in hand, ready to face whatever the future held. Life had given me a second chance, and I was finally ready to embrace it.